Defense is what's going to win you championships, and especially it's what's going to win you games in College Football 25. Now, this video is going to break down everything you need to know to start playing lockdown defense, and this is all things that I've used myself to help me win tens of thousands of dollars of playing professional, competitive Madden 25 and College Football 25. So if you want to get more stops and win more games, this is probably the video for you. So let's get into it. So there's really three types of coverage you can run in this game. There's match, there's man, and then there's zone, okay? Now, match and zone are actually going to look very similar to each other because we look at cover 4 quarters right here, it kind of looks like zone, right? You have the zone play art, but if you look at, there's a little tag that says match. So if we go here into the cover 4 quarters, this looks like zone, right? If we go here, we call it, let's say we call it cover 3 sky. I mean, this looks like zone. This looks like zone. So what's the difference? Well, whenever you have a quarter flat on the field, a seam flat on the field, or a soft squat on the field, it's a pretty big indicator that there is match coverage that is happening. I'll explain what match is here in a second, but you can also see this in those plays that have a cover 3 blitz. So notice right here, overload 3 seam, it has a tag that says blitz. But if we come out here, what do we have? We have a seam flat on the left and a seam flat on the right. That means it is actually a cover 3 match. So what does that actually look like if we were to call play? Well, what you'll see here is that as wide receivers and as our players cross zones, we're actually going to get different match coverage. A great example of that is notice what just happened on the right side. We have a deep blue on the right? Y'all see that? But here, against this play, what happens? That deep blue actually matched, and this ended up being a busted coverage. I try to stay away from match unless you really know what you're doing. That is a video for honestly a different day. But if you're ever in match coverage, something with seam flats, quarter flats, soft squats, and you want to get out of it, press Y or triangle and down on the right stick. And now you're going to get into what's called zone coverage or drop zone. Now, drop zone is pretty simple. Literally, wherever the players are showing their play art at is pretty much where they're going to play. Wow, that is bad. Wherever they're showing their play art, though, that is where they are going to play. So an example of that would be, we see that deep blue on the right side right here, okay? Let's snap this ball, and let's go to that same wheel route we bombed him with earlier. Now it's being played, right? So that's going to be drop zone coverage. Man coverage is pretty straightforward. We're going to have my man on your man, who can get open, who can defend better. So this can be indicated by, it can be a blitz play, like Edge Blitz 0 is right here, or it could be something like, what do we have? Cover 1 hole where it just says man coverage. This is pretty straightforward. You're going to have a man on a man. And this is like, when you run this, you know where everyone's going to be going for the most part. Now, usually man coverage will be mixed in with a little bit of zone. I wouldn't call this a man zone hybrid, but I mean, you know, you have this yellow zone in the middle right here, and you also had this deep blue. So you could do some things here, right? Where you make some adjustments from here and you get a little bit frisky with it. But that's what we have. We have man, we have match, and we have zone. I recommend staying away from match until you have a really good understanding of the game. If you've gotten any kind of value from this video so far, consider doing me a massive favor, hitting the subscribe button. We're trying to hit to 100,000 subscribers. And if everybody who just is watching this right now hit that subscribe button, we'll be able to get there probably like in 2 days or something. So I appreciate it a ton, especially if we've given you any kind of value. Now, back to the video. So now I want to get you on the right track for what every single zone does in College Football 25. Now all the zones can sometimes have like little tiny intricacies, but this is going to cover what you'll probably need for 99.9% of the use cases. Okay, so let's work through this. We're talking every single zone, and let's actually start with our deep zones. So right here on the outside left, we have what's called a deep blue, okay? All of these are deep blues. It doesn't matter what kind of deep blue they are. You'll hear them called deep blues. Now, of a deep blue, you can have a deep third, where you see right here, we have an outside third. You can have a deep half, which this is what a deep half looks like. He just takes up a bigger radius, right? He's going to try to take up half the field. Or you can have a deep quarter. Now, outside corners can only go on outside quarters and outside thirds, okay? Because it wouldn't make sense for this outside corner right here. Wouldn't make sense for him to go in an inside third, okay? Whereas a safety can go in an inside third, or he can go into a inside quarter as well. He can also be in a half, but all halves are created the same, basically. All right, so there's inside quarters, inside thirds, outside thirds, and that's literally like, it's very straightforward. An inside third is going to defend the inside middle third of the field. Outside third is going to defend the outside middle third of the field on the side that he's on, right? Now, there is a unique situation where you could get a safety in an outside third. So if we see this right here, you'll actually see Washington in an outside third. So you do have that ability. That's a little bit more advanced. I wouldn't worry too much about it. So what's the actual difference here between these different styles of deep blues? Well, really, the most simple way to put it is that they all defend a different radius of the field. So think about it. If we have an inside quarter right here from Washington, okay, he's going to do a really good job of defending this inside quarter because it's a very compact area. It's a very specific assignment. So he's going to do a really good job of defending this inside quarter. Let me kind of show you what I mean here. Let's go put Y on a streak. And if we go to throw Y, he's going to run right into this inside quarter, right? Pretty straightforward. But what if that guy was in an inside third? So now, let's keep him in that inside third. Let's roll him, right? Same positioning here. Let's put Y on a streak. Again, top safety and an inside third. Now, it's not as defended. It still was. It still got defended, but he didn't run as much with him. And so what I want to show you with that is this is where it gets interesting because the inside third can get exploited in the seams. Let's go a streak from Y and a streak from A. Now, if we look at the defense, where are both of these things attacking? The middle third. So let's snap this ball. And guess what happens? We have the potential, and again, it gets played by the other guy, but we have the potential to actually split that seam very, very easily. And this can be really exploited out of different formations and different things, right? If we go here again, two seam streaks. Go here. Here's a great example of that. Going right up the seam. Whereas if I had an inside quarter right there, right? Let's even move this guy down, put him in an inside quarter now. Same exact play. No longer open, right? Y is completely bagged. But if I move him down, keep him that inside third, okay. Bang. See the difference right there? So it's literally just the exact area of the field that they're attacking. Now, inside thirds are fine. You just have to be aware that they can be giving up the seam on either side of them, okay? So let's go back into it. Let's go into... what play do I usually like working out a cover 3 sky as like a very basic base. All right. If we had this guy in a half, he's going to defend half the field. But this is such a large radius for him where it is very hard for him to defend this entire radius, right? It's so much ground. There's like 20 yards of total area here. And so the reason that's important is because he can actually get exposed to the sideline really easily. And let me kind of show you. Or he'll get exposed up the seam. So something like that. That outside or that deep half can get exposed outside of him and inside of him. So it could be a little bit scary with these deep halves because while they are back there, think about a basic cover 2 shell here. These two guys are responsible for defending 50 something yards in the middle of the field, right? It's a very, very tough ask. So that's a general idea here. I like to run thirds. I like to run quarters a lot, okay? So something like this right here. Or I'll go into a cover 6 style shell or a cover 9 where we go cover 4 on one side, which would be 2 quarters on one side like we have on the left, and then a half on the other with a cover 2 on the right side, okay? So then we have this cloud flat. So we have an idea of deep blues. Let's move on now to what our flat zones are going to be doing. So our flats, these can be pretty tricky. Let's focus on our outside corners in flats. Our outside corners can be in cloud flats, they can be in hard flats, or they can be in soft squats. Now, hard flats easiest. Hard flats going to do a really good job of defending right around about 3 yards to 0 yards. So we do something like this. Hard flat. Right, he makes that play. Okay. A cloud flat is going to be a little bit more of a traditional Tampa 2 style zone where usually he's going to press the wide receiver, but he's going to drop back pretty far. So if we do something like this, we have a cloud flat on the outside right wide receiver. Let's watch him. And you see he drops pretty far. And in this game, I actually think they drop a little bit too far, but they will drop back. And it's supposed to be more of a bend, don't break style, okay? So that's what that cover 2 is going to do. That's what that cloud flat's going to do. You'll usually find them in cover 2 in Tampa 2. If I press right here, you should see that cloud flat bump. Let's see if he does. Yep, he kind of jams a little bit. And he's trying to make that whole shot really tough. We just threw break out the silencer for that throw. There we go. So that's a cloud flat. Now, soft squat's interesting because he has some match principles. We talked about that earlier, right? So he, depending on certain circumstances, he can actually carry across the field. Let's do something like this right here. And let's watch that right outside corner, okay? Because he's in a soft squat. And let's see. And he doesn't carry right there. But he can at times kind of carry and play a little bit weird. These guys are a matching zone. I'm hoping can we get into a situation where he's going to carry for us real fast here? Go soft squat. Bang. And right there's a great example. He ends up carrying my post route all the way up the field. So the nice part about that is that if you're running like a blitz or something, he almost acts as a little bit of man coverage. The downside of that, though, is that he's matching. So what happens? He leaves his flat wide open, right? Go here again. Well, easy peasy. I do like soft squats, but you have to be aware of where you have them on the field. And if they match, you have to be willing to take them out, take care of that area yourself or with another defender. So that's talking outside corners in flats. Now, when we talk linebackers, safeties, slot corners in flats, they all get the hard hard flat, which to get a hard flat, you would go curl flat and then press Y or triangle down the right stick. That's how you can get a hard flat from the slot or the safety position. And if you then press Y or triangle and go up on the right stick, you'll get a cloud flat. These work exactly the same as before when we're talking about the outside corner. These guys can also get curl flats, though. These curl flats, they essentially will play the seam a little bit better. So if we did something like this, like, he'll play a curl really well. I actually don't use these too much. I'm not a big fan of... I don't like cloud flats on my slots either, or my safeties, honestly, unless I'm trying to defend something a little bit deeper down the field. The reason for that is I think it makes it a little bit too easy to dink and dunk, and I'm very big on the philosophy of making my opponents have to work really hard, and I think that's actually easy for people to do. But that curl flat will drop a little bit. He doesn't get to the sideline as well, and they will tweak the logic for curl flat specifically from update to update, patch to patch, and year to year. They can tune these a little bit, okay? Now, another type of flat zone you might see here is going to be a seam flat, okay? This guy's going to do a great job of matching up the seam. So right here, we have a seam flat on the left, and let's put our slot wide receiver on a streak. Seam flat. Number 2 is a seam flat. He carried all the way up, or that might have been number 7, whatever. That's the idea behind a seam flat. He also will be indicating match coverage. So if you wanted to get rid of him, what would you do? You would press Y or triangle down the right stick. You'd get a hard flat. All right. Then if you want a cloud flat, you press Y or triangle up on the right stick. He become a cloud now. Now, the other type of flat zone you can get right here is a quarter flat. This is going to be purely a match coverage style flat zone that you'll get either inside cover 4 quarters or cover 4 palms. You can also get it, I want to say, in cover 6 and cover 9, just on the cover 4 side. Let's get a quick rundown of what our flat zones are going to be looking like. Now, our yellow zones, I think actually like these get very dumbed down. For the most part, if you just look at the hook curls and vert hooks, the easiest way to say it is that they are essentially going to cover the area that they're in. Now, they can do some cool things with like carrying a receiver a little bit more. Like watch right here, I'll shade my coverage over top and we'll put Y on a streak and watch what my hook curl does on the left. He's going to kind of carry up a little bit and then come back down. So they have like a little bit of, it's not matching, but they can like carry some is how I always call it. And they'll carry based on how you shade. So right here, I'm going to shade underneath, run that same route combo with the slot on a streak. This time, he doesn't really carry as much. And you see he actually played A significantly better that time, right? Then this can change based off of route combo and stuff like that and, positioning of the player. One that a lot of people talk about is the mid-read. This guy will do a good job of matching onto like deep vertical routes attacking the middle of the field. So if we went A up the seam right here, a mid-read's going to actually drop all the way back. You see this guy who plays it, who should have picked it? That was a mid-read. They can play all the way back. They can just get bombed sometimes though, but mid-reads can do a pretty cool job. The other zone that we'll talk about here for yellows is the 3-rec. Now to get a 3-rec, all you have to do is bluff blitz a slot corner who's in a hook curl. So we go right here. Bluff blitz would be pressing A on him and then right on the right stick. You get kind of this weird thing. he is now in a 3-rec zone, okay? It's not showing it, but he is. And so these guys can move laterally pretty decent. Like, you see him kind of like moving back and forth. They can be pretty good. They'll also come stock at a lot of cover 3 blitzes. So if we were to go, let's go to overload 3 seam. And we look at this guy right here. He's in a 3-rec. And we just watch him. He's going to move laterally a good amount, right? And right there, he did not. He was ass right there. These zones are a little bit more hit or miss because they can be a little bit unpredictable sometimes with like what their actual movements are going to be. So 3-recs, just keep that in mind that they can be a little bit weird. Right there, like he's dropping a little bit. It's fine. I don't mind 3-recs on the field. My favorite, though, is definitely just the normal hook curl. I have a good idea of where they're going to go. The mid-read sometimes will drop back too far or not far enough, and I'm just like, what are we doing? I really love playing defense, knowing where my players are going to be. So that's why I call out cover 3, press Y triangle down the right stick, and just looking here, I know where everyone's going to be, which lets me, as a user defender, actually do a better job of being able to defend certain areas of the field that I know my defense is leaving open. Because every defense you run leaves something open. There's always something open. So we just talked about it a little bit where, you know, I'm a big advocate for, I call my coverage, I know where my guys are going, and I know where my weaknesses are. So if we use cover 3 right here, we press Y triangle down the right stick. We need to then user somebody. And I think the easiest person to user on the field is going to be the middle linebacker here, who is in a yellow zone. I don't care what yellow zone it is, it needs to be a yellow zone. And the rule of thumb for usering is actually really simple. Like, this is one, the reason you should do this is because this is one of the best ways to start getting turnovers or dropping picks, like you saw it hit me in the face right there. This allows you to defend numerous routes at once, and essentially you are a matching zone. So let me show you what I kind of mean by that. Where we can go downhill, nope, okay, we're up, and now we're up again, where I just help defend 3 different routes on one play. Now, some people think that's overpowered. I disagree. I think really good route combos will put your user in conflict where he can't be right. But bad route combos, which is what most people run, allows your user to make a lot of really good plays, right? Where we can do some really cool stuff. The way you know where to user, there's a couple of things I always think about pre-snap on the defensive side of the ball. First of all, is what coverage am I in? Where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? What is my assignment? Right now, my assignment is obviously this area of the field, okay? Then I'm also thinking, well, he might go from this formation. He could go corner route to the right. If he does, or if the CPU does, I'm right here, I'm right here. Oh, corner route, corner route, corner route. I'm going to get over there, and I have to go user that. That's something that I just have to be aware of, and I have to look for, okay? So I'm trying to think about where's my assignment, where am I responsible for, and then where can I help out at, right? Where are the weaknesses? What we don't want to do, and so many people make this mistake, is where do we have help right now? We have help to our left, in the left middle. We also have help in the right hard flat, assuming my user is Robinson here. So I should never be doing this, right? Because what just happened? I just ran with a slant that was already going into other help, and I just left my area of the field wide open. Using a linebacker is by far the easiest way to start getting better at defense and start getting more and more stops. If you're somebody who's a little bit scared to, or you feel like it doesn't work out well for you, give it some time. Run simple coverages like this right here. We call cover 3. Press Y triangle, down the right stick, and then from there, you're going to slowly start to get better at it, and you will be able to, I promise you, I've been doing this for a long time, you will start to be able to force more and more turnovers, and then you can lateral it to the other team and let them get a fumble 6, and you can just ha, hee, ha, break your monitor. But seriously, like, you need to user a backer. This is the easiest kind of guideline of how to do it. In terms of actual mechanics, I'm using all left stick until I determine, hey, I need to actually sprint in a direction. Okay, I really don't personally strafe very often. You can strafe by holding left trigger. Some people do. I don't. I like having the, like right here, I'm going full sprint, but I don't choose to go full sprint with the right trigger until I've decided on a direction that I actually need to go. Right here, I'm kind of just slow playing, boom, I'm up. Right, just kind of slow playing with that left stick. Again, we'll show it again right here. I'm down. Right, maybe I'm here. Boom. Now I'm going. Right, that's kind of what it looks like. And the ball's thrown. I'm going to hold Y. All right, so to show what that looks like. Boom. Nice. I'm going to hold Y triangle for the pick, though. So let's talk about now some run defensive stuff here in College Football 25. We can actually really dumb this down to make it very, very simple. This is This is how I play run defense every single year. So essentially, we always want a user on the side opposite of where they're going to be running to. And let me kind of explain what I mean here. So right here, we're in I form, I close, and we have a tight end to the right. The strong side of the field is to the right, so I think they're going to run to the right. That's just typically how people will do it. I'll talk about shotgun here in a second. I don't want a user on this side. The reason for that is because the offensive lineman is going to see me very, very easily. Now, we get a lucky shed right there, but you can see my user is going to get blocked pretty consistently. We can even stand back some. User is going to get blocked again, whatever. Whereas if we stand on the side opposite of where they're running, and then we go try to loop around, it's much harder for them to identify my user and to actually pick him up. And usually when you do get picked up in this situation, they are going to allow somebody else to come totally free. See right here, my user is able to come all the way across. Now, what I like to do is a little bit of what I call a loop. And so right here, we run to the right. I'm trying to avoid the mush. And if they want to cut back, that's okay. I don't mind that because I can handle that with defensive line. So right here, now we want to take away that cutback. We'll go left on the D-pad, down the left stick. Just get that pinch defensive line off. Now we do this again, right? We're getting that same loop. And I'm just trying to make sure my user is able to stay free, okay? This is going to help me be able to flow to the ball without really worrying about getting touched, at least not as much, okay? Again, you see my user is able to stay free for a long time. You want to stay away from the mush. A lot of people will get their user down here and then just get caught up in the backside. Can't happen. You want to have that free kind of loop around so you can go and contain and make that tackle. Now, if you end up being in a situation where they run it at you, well, then right here, you kind of have to slow play it a little bit, right? So just keep that in mind. When it comes to shotgun runs, it's going to be a similar idea. I'll almost always user on the halfback side. And let's go something like inside zone. And I'll look to loop, okay? So I'll go something like user halfback side, look to loop. And you see right there, my user comes totally free. Whereas same play, if I stay right here, my user does not come free, right? I get picked up pretty easily. That backside loop helps the offensive line not be able to see you. Another thing we can do here is actually stand back about 10 yards. If we do this, you'll come free with your user very, very often. And of course, right there, we actually just ran directly into somebody right there. But here's the offensive line's blocking. They see me, they see me, they see me. Now they don't see me. So here you can actually come downhill, and it's very, even right there, we actually don't get blocked. We get into like an animation where we run into them, but it's very hard for the offensive lineman to actually block you. So I'm gonna pinch my defensive line again, come downhill, and you see again, if you just watch my user, notice how I'm not actually engaging any blocks. Watch the user, Beard the Third, sick name. Come downhill. We again don't actually engage in any blocks. They just don't see me. They won't pick me up. So it's an easy little workaround for any kind of run game where if you stand 10 yards back, you can usually at least come a little bit free and make the runs tough. Now, they'll have time to cut it up, cut it back, stuff like that, which we can get around by using our defensive line adjustments, which is purely left on the D-pad. Then we go down the left stick, and we could, slant inside if we wanted to as well. We have some options there. We have, I passed the ball, but we have some stuff there. That's an easy little quick guide to how to stop the run and just rules of thumb that you can run from any defense any year. Now, whenever we're on defense, we can press Y or triangle, and this will actually open up some coverage adjustments. I want to focus on the right stick here because this is going to allow us to shade our coverage. Now, inside and outside shades are mostly used for man coverage. Shade inside if you want to take away the inside, and shade outside if you want to take away the outside. Underneath or over top or up or down is going to be more zone coverage. And so what this can do is that it can turn it can turn any flat zone if we shade underneath into a hard flat. It'll turn, if we go over top, it'll turn hard flats into cloud flats. Just keep that in mind. But this also has an effect on our yellow zones. A shade over top is going to make our yellow zones play further back than a shade underneath, okay? And they won't show that in their actual play art, but they'll behave that way. So right here, I'm a shade underneath, and watch, I can't throw X right there, right? Watch this time. Everything is exactly the same. This time, I'm able to throw X. There you go. There's proof of concept. Shading affects your yellow zones. Shading will not affect your deep blues very much. Like in very specific situations, they can, but they will not. Remember, shading will turn off match coverage, though. Very, very easy thing to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to man coverage, if you shade underneath, your man coverage is going to run press. So watch Wallace right here on 23 on the left of our screen. We snap this ball, You're going to see a little press animation. Okay, easy enough. If we were to run man coverage and shade over top, wire triangle up on the right stick, watch Wallace on the left side right here. Same situation. Let's snap the ball. Notice he does not press. Okay, so there's some give and take. Pressing can result in big plays over top of you. You can get burnt pressing, but you can disrupt route timing. You can bag a receiver way more, etc., etc. With the left stick, it's very simple. We can show different coverages, right? Show 3, show 2, right? This looks like cover 2, looks like cover 3. Or we can give cushion or press, right? Pretty straightforward. Pressing would just be like actually getting our receivers to get close to the line of scrimmage. Give cushion, we'd back off. In terms of what my favorite defense is, you can actually do this out of pretty much anything, but I like to run it out of a nickel set right here. We're going to select it, and then we're going to use the right stick immediately and call it covered shell. Now, a covered shell is essentially what coverage you're going to show pre-snap. So cover 3 is going to make your play look like cover 3, even if it's not. I like to use the cover 2 covered shell. Then we want to call any cover 3 play. So right here, I'll call cover 3 match. Now, how are we going to get rid of this match? I actually don't want it, right? We have those seam flats, going to be matching. Well, I'm going to press Y or triangle down on the right stick. Then I'm going to user one of these yellow zones. From here, I'm going to press left on the D-pad and down on the left stick. And that's just going to get my defensive line pinched together. It's going to be better against a run. And this is my favorite, just basic shell in the game. From here, this is a very much a make them work style of offense where they have to make good reads consistently, okay? I'm very big on things that make them have to, don't give them the free touchdown and don't give them the free check down. A lot of people love giving up free checkdowns. I think that it's very incorrect because you want them to have to work, right? And even if someone's moving the ball down the field on you, that's okay in this defense because you are consistently making them work, and they will make that mistake eventually. They will eventually force the ball. They'll stop being, they'll be greedy one time, and that's all we need to get our turnover. This is the easiest, wow, nice. This is the easiest, most basic shell that you can use to start getting more and more stops in the game. And if you wanted another one to run with it, go into cover 4, press Y or triangle, go down the right stick. That's going to shade our coverage underneath. And just like that, we are in a cover 4 shell now. Very much the same exact idea. If you want to deep dive exact schemes on the defensive side of the ball to win more games that I use myself and that are used by over 1,000 active members, you can join simple.gg. The link to that is in the top of the description. We have full gameplays, full breakdowns, full everything you need. There's over 1,000 people there right now, with 96% of them saying that they have won more games since joining. And if you use code CIVIL30, you'll get 30% off right now. Again, link top description. I'll see you guys all over there.